So did you really think it was going to be any different yesterday? Come on, man. Come on, guys. You know, I like to deal with reality and in the truth, okay? So we already saw what happened in the election. I mean, and people who are blind to it because of partisanship. I mean, you know, it is what it is. But I didn't watch on purpose because I already knew what was going to happen. I just did. And the thing is, I think a lot of you also knew what was going to happen as well, too. I think you're a little bit less upset about it this time because you saw it happen the first time. And in such a grand scale. So, you know, it happened. And it happened in a massive way again. I mean, when you have a activist sister working as a federal judge, and you really expect it to be a fair election. Oh, man, we're special, man. You know, and I'm not trying to be flippant about this stuff. I just like to deal with reality. I want to do a reality, okay? So today's going to be an interesting day. We'll see what happens. Again, you know, I don't look at this stuff negatively. I just look at it from a real perspective, and I try to give you exactly what I think is happening, what's taking place. That whole thing in Georgia, it was going to happen. We you know, for all that we saw before, it was going to happen anyway. No matter what was going to be done, it was going to happen. Okay, so it is what it is. And again, like I said, there's people out there who are super hyper partisan who wanted it to happen because it's about the D behind the name. But there are actually individuals too who have D behind who you know represent Democrats and stuff like that, who are like, yo, you Republicans need to hold those seats. And I've had conversations with people like that who have said that to me and have said, hey, you know what, I don't want the Green New Deal, this economic takeover, yada yada. I don't want that stuff. And then they were very upfront with me about that. Well, the thing that I don't think that they understand yet is that the political establishment, okay, actually, no, I'll give this in a different term, okay? I'll just show this to you in a different way. When you have our political elite class and the media class advocating for the redistribution of American wealth to the world, where we get $600 checks, but then other nations get billions of dollars or millions of dollars and the like, you gotta understand that this whole thing wasn't about Democrat and Republican, and this is why it was so important for, like, you know, Trump it's obviously Republican, but he was going against the establishment, which is very much entrenched in our government, and they have a means and method to keep themselves wealthy and to lift up the people who are a part of their class, who want to enter that class. So that's what Trump was basically fighting against. But people were so stuck on the orange man and their racism and all that stuff and all the things the media has been saying for the last 4 or 5 years that they weren't able to see beyond the stuff. But now they're going to have to live in the same reality that, you know, we live in, you know, and maybe they'll see it through the economics, maybe not, I don't know. But, you know, when people start to recognize it, they might recognize it. And I'm hoping that the people do, and they'll understand that this wasn't about Trump. This wasn't about hating Trump and trying to get in Republicans. You're now going to have to live with these decisions politically. And it went against the grain. This is why it was part of the walk away movement, because I realized what was really going on with Obama. But I'll stop it there. Okay, so I've seen several Christians this year talk about their word for the year. Okay, now and I don't knock that, because people, you know, I've done that before too. That was my word of the year. Okay, but I'll tell you what the word of the year is that I'm kind of feeling right now. That word is repent. Okay, repent. And it's not about something, let me just tell it like this, okay? For us to be in the position that we are right now, within our pulpits, within our school systems, within our churches, within these institutions that really make up the fabric of our society, we as people of Christ have allowed this stuff to happen. We allowed the secularists to speak into the non-secular. We've allowed the separation, for there to be a combination of church and state, when it's supposed to be a separation of church and state. Now, the reason it wasn't to keep the church out of the state, it was to keep the state of the church. We basically have allowed the state to speak into the church. We've actually allowed the state to speak into a lot of things into religious life, and to the point where the First Amendment is being reduced right now. And only certain states are actually abiding by the First Amendment, where you see in California that they're just taking it away based off of this whole safety thing, when in reality it's not. It's about control. Well, the reason why I say repent is because we've allowed all this stuff. You and me, okay, especially me, okay. When I was a kid, I walked away from the faith because I saw leaders within my home and leaders within church that weren't actually leading. They were taking from people. So we've allowed that in our pulpits. We've allowed that control and folks who have nefarious desires to run our pulpits, to be leaders, and then to drive wedges in between people for the purposes of keeping power. So when I say repent, I mean repent of the liberation theology, black liberation theology that's crept into our society and has now become a religious movement. If you don't think that communism, socialism, Marxism, any of these other isms, and even some of the other religious movements, like environmentalism, is a religion. The redistribution of wealth is religion. And to think that these things wouldn't be fought religiously by people who take these things as a religion, while we as people of God, people of Christ, have been lax about even going to church, but then maybe we might highlight things in our Bibles and take notes, but then we don't let those things set in our soul so that they change us from the inside out. That's where we need to repent. We need to repent of the idea that we don't need to actually read our Bibles. We don't need to actually know what it actually says. We can let somebody tell it to us without actually taking it upon ourselves, the responsibility of ourselves to really uphold that thing which we've been given. See, what part of this too, we need to repent too. We were given something to steward something, but we gave it away to secularists, to people who don't have any idea what it means to have a Christian nation. Because, and you might try to balk at me when I say that, but if you don't know anything about the founders, you don't know why it is that this nation was actually founded for the purposes of giving people religious freedom, okay? If you don't know that stuff, then you won't understand even why I say that, even why there is a separation of church and state, because the state was speaking into the church from England. That's actually what happened. In the Reformation, why people have died, why individuals from the Reformation died to spread the word and to even get the word printed. So the word for 2021 is actually repent, and to take seriously that which you hold dear, which is supposed to be your faith. And you keep on praying, but you take it seriously. And understand that because people have been taking their religion seriously over and above Christianity, over and above what you believe on Sunday, and then set it aside for the rest of the week. All of us I need to repent of it. And I'm a pastor, okay? So I'm saying this to you just so that you understand that God doesn't let things happen to people for no reason. If you read anything about Revelation, freaking please, God dang it, man, read about what it means to repent. If you can read anything about 1 Peter chapter 4, what do you think it means that the church to be judged first? You're being judged. You're being judged. So repent. That is the word for 2021. Quit trying to over-spiritualize stuff. Quit trying to over-spiritualize things so where you over-spiritualize yourself right out of what God's given you. God gave you something. We gave it away. All of us gave it away. That's why I was repenting this morning. It's like I'm hoping for people to make decisions and stuff like that. And I'm like, yo, this is in God's hands. This ain't in Pence's hands. This ain't in Trump's hands. This ain't in Warnock's or, Loeffler or any of these people's hands. It's in God's hands. This is why I'm saying to you right now, because you are an individual who thinks that there's people just like you and me who are fallible, who are going to make the right decisions because of whatever. But you need to repent to God because He's the one that's sovereign over all this stuff, despite what those decisions actually are. And I'm saying this to you for real, okay? Just repent. Ask God, please forgive me of my laxness. Please forgive me of my sinfulness. Please forgive me of the things I do in private. Please forgive me of the things that I've allowed in my home, that I've allowed people to say about me, to me, and those types of things. Please forgive me. And that's where you begin. But don't try going anywhere else. Just repent. Take care.